While washing the car, the boss gave me a pack of cigarettes. I said I had quit smoking. Thank you. The boss said, "This is what you picked up from under your seat." I was stunned. I had never lent my car to anyone. Oh, wait. A couple of days ago I was on a business trip, and my wife Chloe drove this car. The cigarette is Marlboro, and my friend doesn't smoke this, so it definitely can't be someone from my side. I took out a cigarette and smelled it. It was still fresh and hadn't gotten damp, probably no more than a week old, which means it was during those few days I was away. Holding the cigarette, my heart sank for a moment. Could it be that while I was away, a man drove my car? But I quickly scolded myself for overreacting. So what if someone drove the car? I was being paranoid. My wife isn't very skilled at driving, so she probably just asked a colleague to drive, which is even safer. After dinner, I joked with my wife. "Chloe, are you secretly finding men to drive my car?" My wife was facing away from me, changing clothes, when she suddenly turned around and stared at me intently. I laughed and tossed the cigarettes from my pocket onto the table. The car wash owner found out and asked, "Which colleague is it?" "Oh, it's our manager, Mr. Liu, whom you've met." I parked poorly and asked him to help me park it. "I'll return it to him tomorrow." My wife quickly stuffed the cigarettes into her bag and went downstairs to go for a run. I was watching her silhouette on the balcony, lost in thought. I have met her manager, Mr. Liu, but I remember he smoked Zhonghua cigarettes, and after all, he is a senior executive. How could he smoke Marlboro? These details are only understood by smokers, and my wife certainly wouldn't get it. Suddenly, I felt that something was off. Even if it was just asking someone to help drive, it wasn't a big deal. So why was she lying to me? After thinking it over, I decided to check the dashcam footage in the car to see what was going on. It was better than letting my mind wander aimlessly. But when I opened the dashcam's memory, the recordings before and after were all there, yet the few days I was on a business trip were missing. If I hadn't specifically checked the records, it would have been difficult for an average person to notice this issue, and the gap in the middle would soon be covered up. I quickly realized that she had deliberately removed the storage card during those few days. So, I confirmed one thing. My wife was hiding something from me. I first ruled out the possibility that Chloe had lent the car to someone else. Her family has their own car and doesn't need to use mine. Moreover, even if she did lend it to someone, there would be no need to hide it from me. I have never been the type to hold grudges. Besides not wanting me to see the driver and hear their conversation, I really can't think of any other reason to remove the storage card. So the urgent task is to find that man first. I thought about it, and since Chloe removed the storage card from start to finish, it's likely that most of the driving during those days was done by a man. Moreover, her workplace is not close to home, so if a man drove my car, he would definitely have taken Chloe home. My home doesn't have a fixed parking space, so I can't pinpoint the surveillance, and I'm not sure about the time, but every time a car enters or exits the community, there will be a record at the gate. I steeled myself, bought a pack of good cigarettes, and headed straight for the property management surveillance room. Since it was already evening, there was only one person on duty in the monitoring room, and it happened to be my acquaintance, Zach, which made things much easier. I knocked on the door, and Zach was busy watching short videos on his phone. When he saw me come in, he hurriedly put it away. "Brother Terrence, what brings you here?" I smiled and patted him on the shoulder. "Caught you playing on your phone at work, huh?" Zach looked a bit embarrassed, and before he could say anything, I handed him a cigarette. "Zach, I need your help with something. A couple of days ago, I noticed some paint scraped off the back of my car, and it seems like it might have been from the drop arm, but I can't figure out if it happened on Monday or Tuesday, so I wanted to check the surveillance footage. Is that okay?" "Brother Terrence, no way. Did the pole hit the car? It can't be that it happened in the community, right?" Zach looked a bit troubled. I knew he was worried I would pursue it. If I asked the property management for compensation and it got dragged out, showing me the surveillance footage would definitely have serious consequences. "I'm not sure, so I need to take a look." "Don't worry, I've already had the insurance company handle the claim. You guys will definitely not be affected. It's just that the insurance company wants me to provide the surveillance photos, and I can just take a random picture for them later." Zach's expression eased a bit, and I took the opportunity to slip him $100. "Help me out. My car's paint has been scratched for a long time. This is just a chance to get some money to fix it." Zach accepted the money and naturally became much more polite to me. He didn't understand the insurance stuff. He just said, "You mustn't let this out," and then turned to help me check the entry and exit records from a few days ago. During those days, my car would enter the community around 6:10 p.m. Zach pulled up a wide-angle photo from the entrance camera for me to send to the insurance company. I took out my phone and snapped 2 pictures, then handed Zach a cigarette and smiled as I said goodbye to him. As soon as I stepped out of the monitoring room, my face turned pale. In the photo, it was clear that a man was driving, with Chloe sitting in the passenger seat. They got home about 20 minutes later than I usually pick up Chloe, which means that during those 20 minutes, either Chloe went to pick up that guy, or the guy went to pick her up. Due to the angle of the surveillance, the man's face was not clear, so Zach thought it was me, but the man's hand was clearly reaching across the center console, resting on Chloe's leg. My head suddenly felt heavy. It seems my wife Chloe really has a problem. With the time they entered the community, I could have quickly checked the surveillance footage downstairs, but I didn't do that. After all, People care about their reputation, and now Zach still thinks that man is me. I also don't want the whole community to know that my wife has a problem. Plus, there's something about the clothes that man is wearing that I feel I've seen somewhere before. After smoking half a pack downstairs, I still couldn't make up my mind. What exactly is their situation? Or to put it more plainly, to what extent has it gone? After all, we are husband and wife. Even if we end up separating, maintaining dignity is a completely different matter. Looking up at the balcony, I don't even know how much longer I can stay in this home. Suddenly, my eyes lit up. Chloe's workout clothes were hanging on the balcony. They were reversible, and when flipped, they matched the color and style worn by that man. In an instant, it felt like I grasped something. Could that man be the one who runs with her every day? I quickly opened my phone and pulled up Chloe's Facebook. I remembered she had posted a group photo of her running companions before, and after flipping through a few pages, I indeed found it. There are 5 people in the photo, 3 men and 2 women. Chloe and another woman are squatting in the front row, and among the 3 men behind them, the first one on the left, the one right behind Chloe, looks very much like the person I saw driving in the surveillance footage. That person is not tall, but has a good physique. You can tell he works out regularly. The key is that he has a handsome face, which is indeed the type of face that women like nowadays. The photo was taken a year and a half ago, a little earlier than when we got married. If it really is this person, could it be? I dare not think any further. To clarify the situation, I decided to suppress my impulse to confront her and hold back for now. I need to prepare for a well-fought battle. I pretended that nothing had happened, and even asked Chloe for intimacy that night. She said she was too tired and suggested another day. I chuckled to myself. A few days later, I figured she had probably forgotten about the cigarette box, so on the weekend, I took her to the mall. I walked into a sports counter, pretended to try on a few pairs of shoes, and even asked the sales assistant if there were any discounts if I bought a lot, like 50 pairs. The sales assistant, upon hearing this, enthusiastically consulted the store manager for me, offered me several styles with discounts, and left me her WeChat and phone number. I agreed to contact her after confirming when I got back. Chloe naturally heard it too, and she asked me, "Why did you buy so many shoes?" Don't mention it. The boss suddenly got the idea to promote some marathon culture. I saw she was listening, so I took the opportunity to ask her, "By the way, the company is looking for someone who runs regularly to be our training partner, once a week, flexible timing, and the pay is good. You run often. Do you know anyone suitable?" Chloe perked up. "Can I do it?" I looked at her and pretended to be troubled. "It's better to have a man. There are more men in the company, you know. Besides, with our relationship, if I don't charge you, it feels like a loss. But if I do charge, it feels awkward." "That's true. Aren't there any men who run with you?" She thought for a moment. "There are some. I'll ask around for you." The next day, after her run, she took the initiative to ask me if I still wanted the training partner the company mentioned. I said of course, but it would be best if I talked to him first. There are some things I need to communicate with him in advance, and I will try to negotiate a better reward for him. She said okay, and then asked me to go with her tomorrow. I know she fell for it. If she hadn't said that, I don't know if she would have been suspicious, but she definitely wouldn't take me to meet her running friend. And if I follow her, I might not gain any useful information and could end up making things worse. Chloe's family isn't well off, so she has a bit of a tendency to take advantage of situations. I specifically mentioned that the pay was good. Since she can't earn it herself, she would naturally want to keep the benefits within her circle. The next day, Chloe took me to the place where they often go running, and there was a man there. As soon as I saw him, I knew it was the man I had seen in her social circle, and upon meeting him in person, I was even more certain that he was the one who had driven Chloe around in my car a few days ago. The man exchanged a few pleasantries with me, added me on WeChat, and introduced himself as Ryan, a physical education teacher at an elementary school in the west of the city. I said, "That's great. With your qualifications, you definitely deserve a raise." Chloe beside me subtly showed a proud expression, which made me feel a wave of disgust. Ryan was also quite happy to hear that, and casually pulled out a cigarette, offering me one. My pupils constricted. It was indeed the same Marlboro that was left in my car. Then I quietly estimated that the distance from West City Primary School to Chloe's workplace was about a 20-minute journey. All the information matched up. Then I ran a short distance with them, quietly observing the relationship between them. Ryan was intentionally showing off in front of me, sometimes sprinting at varying speeds, and other times stopping to stretch. Chloe seemed to deliberately keep her distance from him, silently following behind me without saying a word. These two played their roles well, but they lacked social experience. You introduced him to business, yet they still claimed not to be familiar? Those who are truly at ease in their hearts wouldn't be so distant. Moreover, several times when we stopped to rest, I caught Ryan pretending to be active. His gaze, however, was directed past me and landed on Chloe. That look, men understand it. It's the feeling of having completely lost to you, yet still playing the fool to accompany you in your game. Contempt, mockery, mixed with an unmistakable sense of pride. I didn't see how Chloe responded, but a surge of unnamed anger rose within me. Afraid I wouldn't be able to hold back, I made an excuse that I couldn't run anymore and went back first. This man, I will definitely make him know who the real clown is. As for Chloe, to be honest, I still hold a glimmer of hope. If she still has a conscience to uphold the last line, as a couple, I don't want her to die too disgracefully. So it's not yet time to confront them. After leaving, I didn't go home immediately, but instead went to find a friend of mine, Hugo. His family is very wealthy, yet he spends all day not doing anything productive, messing around with a group of younger brothers, playing with trendy gadgets. But his character is beyond reproach, and he has good relationships with people, familiar with all sorts of connections. I gave him Ryan's information, showed him the WeChat, and asked him to help me check out this person. Hugo teased me, asking what was going on, why I had changed, and if I was interested in men. We grew up as good friends, sharing everything, so I wasn't afraid of losing face and told him what had happened. He heard this and said, "Fuck, this man must be tired of living. Should I take a couple of brothers to beat him up?" I told him to stay calm and not to reveal anything. I still hadn't figured out the specific situation. Once I find out how he got into this, I will definitely make him pay back double. He said okay, and he would find a way to get to the bottom of that man's background. Then he would settle the score with him. Before leaving, Hugo called me over and handed me a USB drive. This is something my little brother just put together. It can decrypt and copy information from a phone. I thought it was useless, but it seems it was prepared for you. I gave a bitter smile. All the good fortune in my love life has been used up on catching cheating partners. When I got home, Chloe was already back, and she asked me curiously where I had been. I honestly told her I went to see Hugo. She knew about my wealthy friend, but I said Hugo had recently invested in a new project and made quite a bit of money, so I went to see if there was a chance to get in on it. So, any opportunities? Chloe's eyes lit up at the mention of money. It shouldn't be a big problem. With our relationship, he said he would let me know the specifics when the project funding comes through next month. My husband is amazing. Chloe beamed with joy and gave me a kiss on the cheek that I don't know if she thought today was a double blessing and wanted to show it. But she deliberately took off her outer clothes in front of me, seductively entered the bathroom, hinting that I could have some fun tonight. I felt a wave of nausea and said I had something to do tonight, needed to look over Hugo's information, and suggested she go to sleep first, then went into the study. I opened the software Hugo gave me on the computer, and while Chloe was still in the shower, I connected her phone to the computer. In less than 10 minutes, the entire contents of her phone were copied onto my computer. After returning everything to its place in the study, I took a deep breath. Although I was mentally prepared, actually peeling back the wound to see the most gruesome scene still made my heart race. I entered Ryan's online name into Chloe's WeChat contacts and pressed enter. Ryan's avatar popped up, and my hands trembled a bit. I clicked on it, but there were only a few sparse messages. What's going on? I flipped through it, and there were no more than 20 messages in total, all about running. The earliest was over a year ago, and the latest was just 2 months ago. Could it be that I was wrong? Are they really innocent? I'm a bit confused. But I quickly realized, no, that's not right. They acted very convincingly, but just like this time when they called me over, the clearer the water, the fewer the fish. It felt too distant, too fake. Since they arranged for me to meet Ryan, it's only natural that there would be some prior communication. But in the 2 months, there was no contact at all. Either she deleted the chat history or she has another WeChat account for communication. I thought about it again, and if she deleted the chat history, it wouldn't be necessary at all. I don't know Chloe's phone password, and I've never had the habit of checking her phone. Moreover, when most people want to delete chat records, they either delete everything entirely or, if they are meticulous enough to leave some inconsequential messages as a smokescreen, they surely know to keep a few recent contacts. So she must have another WeChat account to communicate with Ryan. That raises even more questions. I must find her other WeChat account. At that moment, I suddenly remembered that Chloe changed her phone number shortly before we got married, and all her social media accounts were registered with the new number. She just said she no longer used the old one, and I didn't keep any record of it. I felt a bit frustrated. It's not easy to check the old phone number now, not to mention that the previous phone wasn't registered under a real name, so I might not even be able to find it. Just as I was stuck, an old iPad on the desk lit up for a moment, probably indicating that some software could be updated. I was suddenly intrigued. This iPad was brought by Chloe, and since it was so old, it was now only used as a clock. However, the Apple ID inside was hers from before, which was linked to a Google email I had never contacted. I immediately checked that Google email, and it hadn't sent any emails for a long time, so it seemed to be unused, but I found a linked phone number from the Google email. Yes, it was Chloe's previous phone number. I entered that phone number in WeChat to add a friend, and sure enough, a profile picture popped up. Just one glance, and my head buzzed as if it had exploded. That WeChat profile picture, like Ryan's, showed a pair of hands holding each other. Ryan's WeChat nickname is Mr. Ryan, while this WeChat name is Miss Chloe. No wonder when I added Ryan, I noticed a momentary awkwardness in Chloe's expression. It turns out the hands holding in Ryan's profile picture actually belonged to my wife. And this isn't even the most explosive part. Chloe probably thought I would never discover this WeChat, so she didn't impose any restrictions. Even if I hadn't added her as a friend, I could still see the latest 10 social photos. Clicking on the first post completely shattered my last glimmer of hope. It was a photo of 2 feet, one large and one small, side by side outside the blanket, taken during the days I was on a business trip, with the caption, "Only with you is it warm." The background of the photo was instantly recognizable to me. It was on the bed in the next bedroom. I almost threw up. My whole body was boiling with anger, and I had to exert all my strength to suppress the urge to rush over and slap her a few times. I work hard to earn money outside, and you are at home doing this kind of thing. Looking through a few more pictures, they were all about their romantic moments, and it was clear that they had been in bed together more than once. Gradually, I became calmer. In fact, I had already prepared for the worst. It was just that seeing it with my own eyes was a bit overwhelming and hard to digest at first. I lit a cigarette in my study to calm my nerves, and before long, Chloe came over. "Honey, didn't you quit smoking?" At that moment, I even admired my own acting skills. That Hugo project is really profitable, but the investment is too large. I need to calculate it carefully, so I'm just having a smoke to clear my head. Chloe smiled at me and said, "Just take care of your health, okay? Don't worry, you go to sleep first. I'll calculate for a while longer." Seeing her turn away, I had already made up my mind. Since you all have come this far, don't blame me. I won't let you crawl out in tears in front of me. I am a man. The next afternoon, I went to find Hugo again, and he said he already had some leads. "Brother, I don't know if I should tell you, but they have already been sleeping together." "Should I say that you have already said it?" "Stop pretending to be serious and cut the nonsense." I lit a cigarette, and Hugo looked at me with some surprise. "Your mental fortitude is impressive. Your brain hasn't been damaged, has it?" I found another WeChat account for Chloe and sent it to Hugo. "I found it last night. I've given up. I've come to terms with it. Now I'm just thinking about how to deal with that pair of despicable lovers." Hugo flipped through it a couple of times and handed the phone back to me. "Well, I won't hold back then. Your wife has been an old flame with this man. They've been together for at least 5 years. Hugo told me that Ryan was Chloe's high school classmate, and they probably got together in college, breaking up and getting back together many times. After graduation, they even lived together for a while and talked about marriage, but both their families weren't in very good financial situations. Ryan graduated from an unknown sports university and couldn't find a good job, so he could only work as a part-time teacher at the school. Chloe's family disapproves of Ryan for not being able to afford a house, while Ryan's family criticizes Chloe for not being able to manage the household and not being able to help their son. At that time, Ryan happened to be working at a gym and flirted with a client, which made Chloe furious. In a fit of anger, she accepted a marriage arrangement from her family and turned to me, the big fool. It seems that not long after we got married, there was a time when Chloe got drunk at a social event and called Ryan at night, saying she still couldn't forget him. The two of them got back together and have been sneaking around ever since. Hugo said that all of this came from a business partner of his, who happened to be an old classmate of Ryan's. Their matters had long been circulating in the class circle. I suddenly realized why Chloe didn't invite a single classmate to her wedding and why I hadn't seen her interact with any of them afterward. Only when Hugo saw that I had truly let go did he reveal the final explosive news, which was that Ryan, after getting drunk one time, boasted that Chloe had once had an abortion for him. At this moment, my heart was already calm, and I only worried whether Hugo's many questions would alert the snake in the grass. Hugo reassured me, saying he had a friend who had a good impression of Ryan and would look into his character, but in the end, Ryan's classmate evaluated him as someone who only uses his brain for chasing women. Just then, Ryan sent me a WeChat message, asking if I was busy and when I would be free to go for a run together. I know he was subtly reminding me whether there was any further development on that matter. It seems his classmate's evaluation of him was still not accurate. This person not only uses his brain for women, but is also very greedy. Since he likes these two things so much, I might as well give him a big gift. I asked Hugo, "Do you have that kind of friend, a woman who is both greedy and beautiful?" Hugo was taken aback for a moment, then quickly understood what I meant. "That's just amazing." He quickly found a greedy and beautiful woman named Mabel, around 30 years old, with a typical internet celebrity face. She said that every holiday she receives enough flowers to fill a trunk, but she never crosses the line, only earning commission from selling houses and insurance. I told her the general situation, advised her to maintain her good persona, not to rush into action, and that any expenses could be reimbursed by me, ultimately giving her a large sum of money. Then I began to set a trap for Ryan. I first told him that the boss was away and running was on hold, which made him a bit disappointed, and he replied with an "oh." But I also told him that when the company was making a big fuss about the promotion, there was a client boss who wanted to find a running partner and had asked me to inquire if he was interested. Ryan immediately perked up. "Sure, bro." So I helped him set a time and place, and I especially reminded him that the boss is a strong woman with high standards, so he must be on time. He was even more excited. "Thanks, brother. I promise I won't embarrass you." In the evening, Hugo specially drove his BMW 740 to play the role of a driver to take Mabel to the agreed place, and Ryan was already waiting there early. I didn't show my face because I was afraid Ryan wouldn't perform well, I just told them to chat among themselves. Later, Hugo told me that Mabel got out of the car, looking beautiful in a tight-fitting sports outfit that accentuated her curves, immediately becoming the center of attention in the crowd. But Mabel was cold as ice towards others, yet she seemed completely captivated by Ryan's gentle and generous demeanor, as if she had truly been conquered by him. Ryan probably had never felt such a boost to his self-esteem in his life. Combined with Mabel's teasing little gestures, he was completely spellbound. In the end, Mabel paid Ryan, but he refused to accept it, and they agreed to meet again next time. In comparison, Chloe was simply a weakling. Of course, Ryan would never mention Mabel to Chloe. Without me there, he felt even more at ease. I told Mabel to take her time. I would first set up the other trap. A couple of days later, after I got home, I told Chloe about the investment from Hugo. The total investment is $1.2 million, and it can be recouped in about a year, with a profit of at least $1 million in the second year. Chloe was overjoyed, clinging to my arm and pressing herself against me. I said, but now there's a problem. I don't have $1.2 million. I only have $200,000, which I've already sent to Hugo. As for the remaining million, I fear I need to think of some other way. She seemed a bit anxious and asked me what to do. I said I plan to mortgage the house. I should be able to get a loan of $1.5 million. Chloe's expression changed as soon as she heard it. The house had always been a thorn in her heart, and she felt that my actions regarding the house were a way of guarding against her. In fact, the house is solely in my name. It is my premarital property. She has tried several times to add her name, but since there is still a $300,000 loan on the house, we have temporarily put off changing the name. I told her not to worry. I could use the house as collateral to take out a loan in her name, and when signing the contract with Hugo, it would also be in her name. This way, the actual house payment and investment returns would be in her hands. She thought for a moment and smiled, saying it was fine, but she just felt a bit scared about mortgaging the house. I said, what are you afraid of? If anyone should be afraid, it should be me. What if you run off with another man? Then I would be left with nothing. She smiled even more brightly, almost ready to pounce on me right then and there. I quickly stopped her, putting on a troubled expression, and said, actually, there's another issue. What is it? It's just that this house still has a mortgage. We must pay off the loan before we can use it as collateral, otherwise the bank won't allow a second mortgage. Chloe's expression darkened, as if she were lost in thought. Actually, it's not much, just $300,000, but unfortunately I can't come up with a single cent right now. Is there any way you could help me out? Once the loan comes through, I can pay it back. Chloe's eyes were fixed on me, seemingly trying to gauge my intentions. But I still have a trump card. As long as we pay off the loan, we can go ahead and transfer the ownership, adding your name. What do you think? As soon as she heard this, her mood shifted from cloudy to clear. All right, I'll borrow the money from my parents. Finally, the trap was set. When I married her, I genuinely gave a dowry of $250,000, and her parents said they would save it for us, but it had long since become her private stash. Even if I can't get that money back, I will never let her benefit from it. I pretended to be embarrassed. Isn't that a bit inappropriate? My parents still think I'm always thinking about their money. It's fine, don't worry. I'll talk to them. After all, it's for the family, and they will support it. All right then. In that case, I'll treat my parents to a meal, and once I have the money sorted out, I'll give them $10,000 in interest. Chloe happily kissed me on the face a few times, and I thought to myself, one day you will cry. A few days later, I treated my in-laws to a meal at a high-end restaurant in the area. My father-in-law's expression was constantly changing, until I toasted him with a drink, and he finally spoke up. Terrence, can you really rely on this friend of yours? I had already prepared the materials and took out a few Hugo projects to show him, all of which were well-known money-making ventures in the market. Naturally, they couldn't find any flaws. Father-in-law, you know our family has always been at a middle-class level. While I'm still young, I want to give it a shot and let Chloe experience the life of a wealthy wife. This opportunity is perfect. Adding her name to the property deed would be a win-win, right? Just as my father-in-law was about to say something, I quickly cut him off. If you really think there's a risk, how about this? We won't add Chloe's name to the property deed for now. I'll bear the risk alone. What do you think? What nonsense are you talking? Family matters should be faced together by both of us. Chloe's mother shot a glare at my father-in-law and quickly redirected the conversation. When the time comes, you can transfer the money directly to Chloe, but when I go to the bank to handle it, I'll take Chloe along. Once we finish, we'll add her name to the property deed. My father-in-law finally relented. We're family. There's no need to be formal. I casually asked Chloe in front of my in-laws about that runner Ryan from last time. Our company had to postpone things, but I introduced him to a beautiful boss. Did he mention it to you? I noticed my in-laws' expressions change noticeably when they heard that name, and Chloe seemed a bit embarrassed, saying no, so I went out to settle the bill. At the door of the private room, I heard my mother-in-law whispering, Chloe, are you still in contact with Ryan? Chloe was a bit unhappy, not knowing if it was because her mom asked her, or because Ryan found a beautiful boss and didn't tell her. Her father-in-law also said, Chloe, I know you don't like Terrence, but since you're married, what do you want? Besides, he can earn money now, and we've invested all our money into this, so you should pay a little attention. Chloe replied impatiently, got it. I almost laughed at the door. What does it mean to know you don't like me? What do you mean by your money? Clearly, all of it is my money, and yet you all act as if you're the ones wronged. All right. Anyway, Mabel has already enchanted Ryan quite a bit, just waiting to reel him in. Recently, when Mabel is with Ryan, I've arranged a lot of business calls for her, mainly about buying and selling properties. Although the real estate market isn't doing well lately, those who are capable can still make quite a bit of money. Mabel always manages to get some particularly cheap houses, and before long, she sells them, making tens of thousands in profit in the process. Mabel was already in this business, and when she talked about it on the phone, it left Ryan completely confused. Moreover, Mabel would timely let Ryan see her huge financial transactions, sometimes even asking Ryan to help collect money or transfer funds. Ryan roughly calculated that the money Mabel made from a few phone calls could equal his income for several years. After a few times, he couldn't help but ask Mabel what kind of business she was doing. Mabel said it was just pocket money. Her friends had channels to acquire particularly cheap foreclosed properties, which were equivalent to about 60 to 70% of the market price. With just a few extra tens of thousands, they could sell them quickly. Ryan's eyes nearly sparkled with excitement. He wanted Mabel to guide him. Mabel warned him that this could be risky, and he might end up losing his money. She advised him to calculate how much capital he had and to assess the risks himself. Of course, Ryan wouldn't show weakness in front of Mabel. He mentioned that his family had set aside some money for his future wife, urging Mabel to take him along. Mabel pretended to have a good impression of Ryan, so a few days later, she took him to a real estate office in another city. The office was luxurious and crowded with people. Ryan had never bought a house before and had never seen such a scene. He had only heard that the real estate market was sluggish, but he didn't expect so many people to be looking at properties. Mabel quietly told Ryan that this project currently has discounted properties available internally, and only through connections can one purchase them. The project will soon be acquired by the developer, and people are flocking here. By then, the price will increase by at least $2,000 per square meter. Ryan entered a VIP room with Mabel, where the property consultant skillfully presented several options for Mabel to choose from. Mabel selected 2 units and directly paid a down payment of $600,000 for each. However, since each person is limited to purchasing 1 unit at a time, she put one of the properties under Ryan's name. Ryan was overjoyed, thinking that Mabel had a special trust in him. What excited Ryan even more was that the property under his name was sold for a higher price within a week. The $600,000 quickly turned into an $80,000 profit, and this $80,000 was even transferred to Ryan's account. Ryan went completely crazy. He insisted that Mabel help him get a property as well. Mabel agreed, telling him to prepare the money within 3 days and then go with her to handle the paperwork. The net has been cast, just waiting for the fish to swim in. At the same time, a day after having dinner with Chloe's parents, I told her that the project on Hugo's side would be delayed by a month. To save on interest, we would take out the loan later. I told her to keep the money her parents gave her for now. It would be good to earn a month's interest. That money of hers was originally meant for Ryan. Then, I would gracefully withdraw, using the excuse that I had to go on a business trip for a few days, leaving the rest to Ryan's performance. Only this time, their performance had an additional audience, me, who secretly installed 2 cameras at home. I thought, it shouldn't be illegal to install cameras in my own house, right? Sure enough, just as I left, Ryan walked through my front door that night. It seemed they hadn't seen each other for a while, and as soon as he entered, they were kissing passionately. But not long after, Chloe suddenly pushed Ryan away and asked him if he had another woman. I almost laughed behind the screen. You, an unfaithful woman, asking him if he has someone else is truly ridiculous. Ryan hurriedly explained to Chloe that he was enduring humiliation and hardship to get close to Mabel for the sake of their future. In his words, Mabel was just a wealthy older woman, but he absolutely did not cross any lines. He was merely ignoring Chloe temporarily to make money. He said he had gone to great lengths to finally persuade Mabel to do business with him. And in order to give Chloe a better future, he had taken out a loan of $300,000, and now he still needed another $300,000, hoping that Chloe would lend him the money to tide him over. Although Chloe was infatuated, she was not an idiot and certainly would not agree immediately. Then Ryan began his performance, reminiscing about the past and looking forward to the future, and when he spoke with excitement, he could even squeeze out a few tears. In the end, Ryan took out his transfer records, leaving Chloe stunned. Chloe finally began to waver, saying she just happened to have $300,000, but she would need it in a month, asking Ryan if he could pay her back in time. Ryan said this was the opportunity given by heaven, and it must not be missed, filling his mouth with oaths, almost kneeling down. Chloe finally transferred the money to Ryan, and the two happily celebrated. I sat in the hotel, looking at them through the computer screen, and finally felt at ease. As for what came next, I've seen my wife before, so I'll leave it for her to savor slowly. The next day, Mabel took Ryan back to the sales office. After Ryan paid and signed the contract, it was finally time for me to reap the rewards. When I returned home 2 days later, Chloe seemed particularly attentive, and I couldn't tell if it was because she felt uneasy about lending out $300,000. I told her some not-so-good news, that the project on Hugo's side might be delayed again. But to make it up to her, I said we should pay off the mortgage first and add her name to the property deed to avoid any prolonged uncertainties. She hesitated for a long time, saying she had put the money in a 7-day fixed deposit and would talk again after the 7 days were up. Then Mabel told me that Ryan was urging her to sell the house first, even if it meant selling it at a lower price, just to get a taste of success the first time. I transferred Mabel 20,000 yuan, saying that should be enough, and once she finished the last matters, it would be over. I didn't expect Mabel to return the money to me. She said her commission this time was 200,000, and she only took what she deserved, thanking me for introducing her to the client. Mabel delayed Ryan for a few days, and as the 7-day deadline approached, Chloe urged Ryan anxiously, and Ryan began to worry a bit. He asked Mabel to help him sell the house quickly. Mabel said there were few clients these days, and if he was really in a hurry, she could only help him out first, but regarding the details, she asked him to book a hotel room for a detailed discussion. Ryan thought he was in for a double blessing, so he booked a room and waited for Mabel. Mabel came in wearing lingerie, and Ryan was momentarily stunned. Mabel said she hasn't had any money lately and needs some more time. If Ryan really feels guilty about her, he should just make his own requests. Ryan had been waiting for this day for a long time. After some playful banter, he went to take a shower first. Of course, before this, I had already sent Ryan's room number to Chloe using a stranger's number. She texted him and called him, but all her efforts fell flat, and she angrily rushed to the hotel. Hugo and I hid in the lobby to observe. Mabel timed it perfectly so that when Chloe walked in, she would see Ryan sitting on the bed wrapped in a towel. Chloe was already anxious and angry, and upon seeing Mabel, she realized she was just a clown, so she took all her anger out on Ryan. Ryan's good fortune was ruined by Chloe, and he was furious as well. After spending time with Mabel, he now saw Chloe as a complete weakling, and since she didn't explain herself, he just called her out directly. Mabel said a few words and then left easily, leaving the two of them in the room to fight it out. That night, Chloe told me her parents had something to do and wouldn't be coming back. I rushed to my father-in-law's house overnight just to see her disheveled expression. Seeing the bruise on her face, I excitedly asked her what happened. Seeing how much I cared for her, she finally couldn't hold back her tears and said she had accidentally fallen, afraid I would worry, so she didn't come home. I barely managed not to laugh, comforted her for a long time, and just as I was about to take her home, I casually said, "Don't be sad, dear. Your 300,000 will arrive in 7 days, and then we'll go change the property deed, so you can be happy too." Chloe's expression was truly worse than if she had eaten shit. My father-in-law asked her what was going on, and I quickly answered for her. But my father-in-law immediately sensed something was off and pulled her into the room to ask her. My mother-in-law told me to go back first, as Chloe was in a bad mood, and they would keep her company. When I left, I heard a loud bang coming from the room. The next night, Chloe returned, her thick makeup still unable to hide the swelling on her face. She looked haggard, yet she forced a smile at me, more eager than usual. I asked her what was wrong. Did she have a fight with her family yesterday? The money is due soon. When are we going to the bank? Every word pierced her heart, but she could only come up with various excuses to deflect me. Half a month passed like this, and I saw her sighing and growing increasingly despondent. It was about time to give her a break. I told her that the project on Hugo's side was settled, and to prepare the money in the next couple of days so we could apply for the loan and not delay the important matter. She realized she could no longer hide it and finally revealed the truth, saying that the money had been lent to a friend and she couldn't get it back. I pretended to be shocked and asked her which friend it was. She hesitated, but eventually managed to say Ryan's name. I told you not to be afraid. Tomorrow I will go with you to their school to find him, and we must make him give an explanation. That night, I heard her tossing and turning, unable to sleep at all. Perhaps she also knew that tomorrow would be a turning point in her life. The next day, I stormed into Ryan's school with Chloe to demand he pay back the money. At first, he pretended to be accommodating and asked us to give him a few more days. I asked Chloe, "What do you think?" Chloe's face turned bright red, probably recalling the final breakup with Ryan, and she finally shouted, "No way. Today, you have to give me an explanation for everything, or I will make sure everyone at your school knows about it." Ryan was also cornered with no way out, and finally admitted that the house he bought was not only unsellable, but also that the developer had run off, leaving the house unfinished, and all his money had gone down the drain. Moreover, the house price was not just 600,000, but 2 million. Now, in addition to our money and online loans, he has to pay back the remaining 1.4 million mortgage to the bank every month. He has been pushed to the brink. If we pressure him further, he might resort to jumping off a building. Chloe was completely stunned, grabbing his collar and shaking him desperately. Ryan also exploded with emotion, cursing me for introducing him to a boss who was nothing but a fraud. I said I only introduced you to Run. I didn't ask you to do anything else. Since you think she's a fraud, why don't you report it to the police? Ryan opened his mouth, but couldn't speak. I knew he had actually gone to see Mabel a long time ago. But Mabel honestly told him that she was just an intermediary, that all his transactions were with the developer. The money was collected by the developer, and it had nothing to do with her, advising him to report it to the police himself. Ryan accused her of fraud, and Mabel laughed. The sales office staff were hired by the developer. The contract was signed by you voluntarily. Check your WeChat. What did I say that deceived you into buying a house? It is said that Ryan really went to the police station later, but all the evidence he provided was just his own words. Mabel hadn't said anything, and not a single cent of the house payment was transferred to Mabel, so Mabel's actions were normal sales behavior. As for other issues, he could only seek the developer who had run away. Ryan recalled these painful memories again and ultimately pointed the finger at me. It's all your fault. It's all because of you. I'm just not going to pay you back, so what? Come and catch me. He became more and more agitated, and Chloe realized it was too late to stop him. Terrence, let me tell you, don't get too proud. I've already had your wife. I've slept with her in every corner of your house. I'm telling you, I'm bored with her now, so I'm giving her back to you. It was truly a divine assist, saving me a lot of trouble, and I silently applauded him in my heart. Looking at Chloe again, her eyes were bloodshot, and while she kept telling me not to listen to him, she directly jumped in and started wrestling with him again. I pretended to be shocked, turned around, and walked away. Chloe chased after me. I got in the car, closed the door, and stepped on the gas, all in one go. I was with Hugo, the two of us leisurely smoking, while my phone kept buzzing with messages and calls, and before long, it lost power and shut down. When I turned it on in the evening, the phone took a full 2 minutes to respond, and I couldn't be bothered to look at the messages that popped up. At that moment, Chloe's father called me, and I answered. He said not to listen to Ryan's nonsense. It's all a lie to me. I said I had asked Chloe's old classmate, and she indeed had an old flame relationship with Ryan. Her father was speechless, suddenly erupting. Chloe said she wants to commit suicide. If my daughter dies, I will never let you go. I desperately held back my laughter, saying, Father-in-law, you must be confused. Your daughter's money was swindled by Ryan, and it was Ryan who slept with her. I'm the victim here. She wants to commit suicide, and you're coming after me? The judge wouldn't rule like that, would he? The father-in-law was silent for a moment. Everyone makes mistakes. You are magnanimous. Forgive her this once, and we will make sure she treats you well in the future. At worst, you can cheat once too, and I'll tell her that will settle the score. I hung up the phone directly. With parents who have such values, it's no wonder they raised a daughter like this. My phone kept ringing throughout the night, and the next morning, I received a message from Chloe. Let's get a divorce. I replied to her. Okay. She sent me a divorce agreement, but I saw that her demands were surprisingly that the house be split in half, the $300,000 debt owed to my father-in-law also be split in half, and only the car would belong entirely to me as compensation. This woman still has such thoughts even now. I disagree and demand a divorce through the courts, where I directly presented the evidence of her affair with Ryan. The court ruled that the house and car all belong to me. As for the money she borrowed from her father, that is their own business and has nothing to do with me. Chloe finally realized that it was I who had designed the trap for her from the beginning, while her family kept cursing me with the most vicious words, until the judge could no longer listen, saying that if they continued to disrupt the court order, they would be taken away for detention. I walked out of the courtroom, and Hugo and Mabel were waiting for me outside. It's not that I want to be with Mabel, but she handled things so beautifully that I couldn't help but invite her to dinner to thank her. Afterwards, I asked Mabel, aren't you afraid of Ryan's retaliation? Mabel scoffed. With that kind of demeanor, he wouldn't even dare to stab himself if given a knife. I don't know if Chloe will get back together with Ryan, but who knows about such a turtle and mung bean situation? After all, Ryan has spent $2 million on a house, so maybe one day, it will really be delivered. I took out a cigarette and shared one with Hugo. Hugo asked me, when did you start smoking Marlboro? I smiled. Today is a good day, a moment to remember. From now on, I will never smoke Marlboro again. The story ends.